everybody. In today's video I'm going to show you how to draw a robin using hard pastel. This isn't a video where I'm really showing you anything specific. There isn't like, you know, a big takeaway or any specific exercise that I want you to be aware of. This is just more of a general, you know, here's how I build a piece of artwork in pastel from start to finish. And I chose a robin for this particular exercise because spring is right around the corner and I am excited for all of the, you know, birds that are coming and all the fresh new growth. So I hope you enjoy this video and thank you so much for watching. Alright, to start with, I am using Canson Mi-Tientes pastel paper. This color is light blue. I'm also going to be using my trusty Willow charcoal and a kneaded eraser. Also I have an image of an American robin that I'm working from. Okay, so we have eye, beak, wing, feet, tail feather shape, although let's see if I need to adjust that just a little bit maybe. And at this point, I'm going to start erasing some of these extra lines that I don't need anymore. Okay, now next thing I want to do is kind of figure out where some of these basic different color blocks are going to be. So we have the red breast, we have that darker head. Up here there's more of a light gray kind of thing going on, so I'll kind of define the difference between the head and that light gray area. Down here we have some grays and some whites flitting about. And there you have it. Alright, now we can move on to adding color. So what I work with is Prismacolor NuPastel. They're not a real expensive pastel. They're kind of in between a hard and a soft pastel, although I kind of think of them as more of a hard pastel. And the colors I'm working with are warm medium gray, warm deep gray, almost black. I will probably use a little bit of actual black, but for the most part I'll be doing that warm deep gray. This one's light ochre. It's harder to see. This one is Raw Sienna. Again, maybe harder to read that one. This one is almost impossible to read, but it is Sepia. It's darkish brown. I don't remember what color this is called. Let's see. I don't remember what color this one is. It's sort of a peachy color. I'm going to use this on the feet. I don't think I have the wrap for this one anymore. So whoops, sorry. Don't know what this color is. And then just white. And that's what I'm sticking with for right now. We'll see if I end up adding any other colors later down the road. So at this point, I block in general shapes of color. Of course, the most obvious spot, I'm using the raw sienna to put in this orangish red chest. And actually, you know, right away, now that I'm putting this color down, I know I'm going to have to add a little bit more of a red in order to get the vibe I'm going for. But for right now, I'll just stick with blocking in very lightly. You can see the paper through. I'm not pressing hard. I'm not trying to fill it in completely at all. I'm just letting myself know kind of where these colors are sitting. Now I'm taking the warm medium gray, stroking in some of that general color up here. Now in this wing, I have, you know, stripes of white. I have you know, where you can see different feathers and highlights and shadows and everything. So this area is going to get more complicated, but for right now, I'm content with lightly adding that bit of gray. Now up here on the head, I'm going to find some of those darkest areas and take my, what is this, warm deep gray. So that color that's almost black, but just has a little bit of warm depth to it that I really love. I'm kind of bringing it in lightly. Everything is very, very light at this point. I'm even going to add some of the lighter gray up because there's a highlight on the dome of this bird's head. Okay, so looking pretty robin-y. Under here, we have some areas of shadow underneath this wing feather. So I'm bringing in some of these shadowy bits. And then it gets a little tricky in here because these feathers right in its little butt here are technically white feathers, but because they're in shadow, I don't want them to be pure white. They'll look weird. So I'm making them initially gray. I'm probably gonna add some highlights of white later, but for right now, I'm working with gray in that area. And then up here, I've left a little ambiguous because there are some white markings underneath the bird's beak. And then I'm going to take my eraser, clean up some of these lines in the beak so that it doesn't get too muddy as I add the light yellow. But now I'm going to add some light yellow. Now basically, you know, if this bird were a coloring book, I've colored it all in, and I've done a good happy job of coloring my little coloring book. However, I want to do a little bit more with this. All right, so every once in a while I use a charcoal pencil, and I actually have two charcoal pencils. One's black and one's white. These are what I use to add any kind of fine detail that I need. Typically the fine detail will come in the form of either a highlight or a shadow. So right now in this case I need to add a little bit of just a really fine shadow on this bird leg. So for that, rather than I'm giving myself a break. I'm going to use an appropriate tool, and I'm taking out my black charcoal pencil. I'm putting on some final touches onto my drawing. And at this point, this is that sort of delicate point, I think, in a piece of artwork where you can go too far, right? There's always that question of when is it done and when have I kind of ruined it, where it was kind of better before and you just had to add that one extra thing and it's tipped it off into a different direction. So I'm kind of at that point, and I'm thinking I'm done. I have actually lately, though, like lately as in the last year, gone the other direction a little bit. I've been so afraid of getting overworked that I'll quit before it actually is finished. Which I think also happens. That happens for other artists too. So a lot of times the best thing you can do is just let it sit for a day or a couple days, maybe a weekend. Just let it sit. Don't look at it, don't really think about it, and then come back to it. I mean, heck, it could even be like an hour. You could even just walk away for an hour and see what you think. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna call this little guy all done. So thank you for watching this little time-lapse robin. I hope everybody has a good spring, and I will see you next time.